Hello and welcome to Tour Obscure and a brand new series called Once Upon a Town, where I visit different villages, towns and suburbs and look at all the interesting things what they've got to offer. This week I've come to Hasland to have a look at this fountain, what can't stay still. Hasland lies to the south of Chesterfield centre. It is your typical suburban area, and the high street contains lots of exciting unique establishments, such as a co-op, a one-stop, Ladbrokes, and a couple of pubs to drown your sorrows in after your horse finishes third and the co-op has finally run out of shreddies. But we're going to look a little deeper for the interesting history this place has to offer. Hasland was first mentioned in the 12th century as Haslant, which means Hazel Grove apparently. It was originally just a small hamlet, but the Hasland we see today is all thanks to the Industrial Revolution and the rise of coal mining. Many of the collieries in the area, particularly Grassmoor and the Hasland Colliery, employed thousands of men, which meant that the population exploded. During the 2011 census, the population of Hasland was stated as 6969. Rude. At the centre of Hasland lies Eastwood Park, a large open space with plenty of facilities, and to my delight, an ice cream van.
Take 494.
Prick. Eastwood Park was opened in 1913. The land was gifted by the Mayor of Chesterfield in memory of his late father. He claimed that the people of Hasland would be set up for life with one of the best parks in the area. Decent. At the centre of Eastwood Park sits the Peace Fountain. It was originally gifted from Ringwood Hall when the park first opened. During the 1980s, during some redevelopment work in Chesterfield Town Centre, the council thought it would be a great idea to move this fountain into the town centre, into what was known as New Square. However, things didn't work out quite as well as they'd imagined. After some years, the fountain looked a little bit decayed and was regularly filled up with litter. So in the year 2000, it was decided to move the fountain back to Eastwood Park. In 2012, a multi-million-pound restoration of the park included the restoration of the fountain behind me, but obviously that's not quite enough money to figure out how to get moving water running through it. As you can see, it was money well spent, because now in 2025, the fountain sits here with no running water and is currently filled up with mud. Gotta finish eating my ice cream before I film this bit. At the far end of Eastwood Park, you'll find the Village Hall, which was built in 1914, just a year after the park opened. Whilst it's a lovely building, there's not really much history to note, apart from the fact that it once held ARP training back in World War II. ARP training was air raid precaution training. Local residents would come here and be trained on what to do during air raids. Decent. Heading west from Eastwood Park, we find the Hasland Cemetery, a graveyard that road signs suggest isn't in Hasland, but maps say it is in Hasland, but it is called Hasland Cemetery, so it is but isn't in Hasland. Now, Hasland hasn't got much in the way of famous people, but there's always one exception. The legendary drummer of Motorhead, Phil Taylor, was brought back to his hometown of Hasland to be buried when he died in 2015. We don't need to speak much about his career. He recorded 11 albums with Motorhead and gained worldwide fame. What a legend. Respect. Heading northeast to the northern border of Hasland, we find an abandoned mill building, only visible by walking down a small footpath. But the building has links to a historic football club. Spittal FC was founded in 1874, and they was in quite a unique geographical position, which meant they were eligible to play in the Sheffield, Derbyshire and Birmingham Senior Cups. The club were nicknamed the Limerick Twisters, and this was in relation to the tobacco which was shipped into this factory coming from Limerick in Ireland. The Twisters part came from part of the manufacturing process. They played at the factory ground, which was located right in front of the factory, which was just here. But I don't think we're going to be playing football on here anytime soon. Spittal FC's best run came in the 1881 Birmingham Senior Cup, when they reached the final 6. They ended up bowing out of the competition to West Bromwich Albion in a 2-0 loss. The club wound down in 1887. In fact, in that year, they had a game where only 7 players turned up to a match. And after then, the club quietly disappeared out of the English football system. Just next to the old Spittal FC ground, we've got some old railway infrastructure, which we will talk about later, don't you worry. Now, what's interesting about these bricks is that if you look, they were made in West Bromwich. And if you cast your mind back to the history of Spittal FC, arguably their biggest ever game was against West Bromwich Albion. Cool football and industrial links. Running through Hasland is the, you guessed it, Hasland Bypass. A major road that, when closed, causes absolute mayhem in the town. The Hasland Bypass was built in the mid-1970s. It provides a fast link from junction 29 of the M1 all the way into the centre of Chesterfield. It follows the trackbed of the old Great Central Railway, which ran all the way down there towards Grassmore Colliery. They simply ripped the tracks up, put the tarmac down, happy days. The area around here was once littered with railways, but thanks to the Beeching Acts in the 1960s, all that has gone now. If you're not familiar with the Beeching Acts, Dr. Richard Beeching in the 1960s was commissioned to have a look at all the railways up and down the country, take a good look and go, oh yes, that one seems like it's great and would provide great transport links in the future, and then he would close them. When the Hasland Bypass was constructed, it gifted us this little bit of abandoned road. Now this would have been the main road into Hasland from the town centre, under this bridge and then straight in front of me into Hasland itself. Today the road still exists partially up until a certain point, and then you reach a dead end, and the rest of it is used purely as a footpath. Today, access to Hasland is by jumping onto the bypass for a short time and then coming off the first slip road. Hasland once had many railways running through or close to it. The majority of that is now long gone, thanks to railway enthusiast Mr. Beeching. But some parts still remain hidden away. Just down from the bypass is this former railway arch. Now, most of the railway infrastructure from this particular line, which was the Lancashire and Derbyshire Railway, has been erased. But if you know where to look, if you come down the little footpath, which is off Hady Lane, you will eventually come to this structure, which just sits here now, abandoned and forgotten. Once on top of the bridge, it's even more difficult to vision, but this was once a very busy railway. You can't even see any of the brickwork, what's on top of this viaduct now, it's just all thorns. But this would have once been very busy with railway traffic. Smashing. That is everything from Hasland. If you enjoy fountains what keep on moving for no particular reason, this is the place for you. Rumour has it, if you press any of these buttons here, then the Peace Fountain will magically appear in your back garden. Thank you very much for joining me, and until next time, ta-ra.